It all started with an old phone, a simple, forgotten device that should have meant nothing. But one unread message changed everything. And by the time I realized the truth, it was already too late. The moment I turned on my sister's old phone, I expected nothing more than a few outdated photos, maybe some leftover messages she forgot to delete. But as the screen lit up, a notification appeared, one unread text. She can never find out. We have to keep this quiet. My heart pounded. Who were they talking about? And more importantly, what were they hiding from me? At first, I told myself it was nothing. Just an old text that must have been sent ages ago, something Rachel had probably forgotten about. But the more I stared at the words, she can never find out. We have to keep this quiet. The more unsettled I felt. Who was she? Was it me? And what exactly were they hiding? I scrolled up, heart pounding. The conversation stretched back months, and every line I read sent a new wave of unease through me. Most of the messages were from someone named AL, and the way they spoke to Rachel felt urgent. Desperate. We need to handle this before she starts asking questions. Are you sure she doesn't suspect anything? If she finds out the truth, everything falls apart. A sharp chill ran down my spine. This wasn't some random conversation. This was about me. I glanced toward the hallway, half expecting Rachel to burst in and snatch the phone away. She had always been the responsible one, the one who looked out for me growing up. But now, I couldn't shake the feeling that she had been looking at me, not as a sister, but as a problem she needed to contain. My hands trembled as I typed a message to AL from Rachel's phone. We need to talk. Can we meet? I hesitated for a second before hitting send. 3 dots appeared instantly. My breath caught in my throat. I told you not to text me. Is she with you? I dropped the phone like it burned. They were still talking. They thought I was Rachel. And now, I was part of a conversation I was never meant to see. Before I tell you what happened next, the moment that made my world spin on its axis, I want to hear from you. Have you ever uncovered a secret that changed everything? If so, hit that like button. And if you're watching from somewhere unexpected, drop your country's flag in the comments. Because trust me, this story is only just beginning. My hands were clammy as I stared at the screen. The 3 dots blinked, then disappeared. AL was waiting for a response. My mind raced. If I replied, I might blow my cover. If I stayed silent, they might realize something was wrong. I needed answers. I took a shaky breath and typed, not now. Later. Usual spot? It was a gamble, but I had no other choice. Seconds passed. Then. Fine. But this has to be the last time. The last time? What had Rachel been meeting this person for? And why was this so urgent now? I had to be smart. I needed to find out where the usual spot was. Trying to steady my nerves, I opened Rachel's email app. It was a long shot, but maybe there was something, an appointment, a reservation, anything. I scrolled quickly, my heart racing. Then, I found it. A confirmation for a dinner reservation. Wednesday, 8 p.m. Harper's Bistro. That was tonight. I felt the room spin. If I left now, I could get there before Rachel. I could find out who AL really was. My fingers hovered over my own phone. Should I call Rachel? Confront her directly? No, I needed proof. I needed to hear this conversation for myself. Grabbing my jacket, I rushed out the door. What I didn't realize was that someone had been watching me. Harper's Bistro was dimly lit, the kind of place where conversations blurred into the clinking of wine glasses and whispered secrets. I slipped inside, my heart pounding so loudly I swore the hostess could hear it. Rachel wasn't here yet. But I wasn't looking for her. I was looking for AL. Sliding into a corner booth, I positioned myself with a clear view of the entrance. My fingers drummed anxiously against the table. What if AL recognized me? What if they didn't show? Then, the door swung open. A man in his late 40s stepped inside, scanning the room. Sharp suit, calculated movements. His eyes flickered over me for half a second before he took a seat at the bar, his posture rigid. Something about him felt wrong. I reached for Rachel's phone and typed, "I'm here." "Where are you?" Across the room, the man's phone buzzed. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, then turned his head slightly. Right toward me. My stomach clenched. This was AL. I forced myself to breathe, to think. If I left now, he'd know something was off. If I stayed, I had to act like Rachel. Before I could decide, the seat across from me slid back. AL was sitting down. "You look tense," he said, voice calm, unreadable. "Did something happen?" I swallowed hard. I couldn't blow this. I need to hear it from you. One last time. My voice was steady, but my hands were ice cold under the table. He studied me, his gaze sharp. "We agreed not to go over this again." I changed my mind, I shot back. "Tell me everything. From the beginning." He hesitated. Then, he exhaled and leaned in. "Fine. But after this, it's over. You did what you had to do to protect her. And if she finds out the truth now? She's in more danger than ever." My breath hitched. "Protect me? From what? From who?" I forced myself to nod, even as panic roared inside me. "Does she suspect?" he asked. I shook my head. "No. She doesn't know a thing." AL relaxed slightly. "Good. Then we still have time." Time for what? Before I could push for more, my worst fear happened. Rachel walked in. Her eyes locked onto mine. And in that moment, I knew, she wasn't just angry. She was terrified. Rachel froze in the doorway, her face pale under the soft glow of the restaurant lights. For a split second, she just stared at me, eyes darting between AL and the phone in my hand. Then, without a word, she stormed toward our table, her heels clicking against the tile like a countdown to something inevitable. AL stiffened. I could feel the tension rolling off him as Rachel slid into the seat next to me, her fingers gripping my wrist under the table, tight, almost shaking. "What are you doing here?" she hissed under her breath. I yanked my arm free. "I should be asking you that." A muscle in her jaw twitched. "You have no idea what you're getting yourself into." "Then tell me," I shot back, my voice sharper than I expected. "Tell me why I just sat across from this man while he talked about protecting me. Tell me what I'm not supposed to find out." AL exhaled, rubbing a hand over his face. "Rachel, you might as well tell her. It was bound to happen." She turned to him, eyes flashing. "No. We had a plan. We were going to keep her out of this." "Keep me out of what, Rachel?" My pulse pounded in my ears. What could possibly be so bad that you'd go this far to hide it from me? Rachel's hands curled into fists on the table. She looked at AL, then back at me. And then, finally, she told me. "Emily. Mom and Dad aren't your real parents." The words hit like a slap. The whole restaurant seemed to shrink around me. "What?" My voice barely came out. "They adopted you under unusual circumstances," Rachel continued, her voice unsteady. "Your real parents, our real parents, were involved in something dangerous. And when things went bad, they disappeared. For years, I thought they were dead." "You thought?" My head was spinning. AL spoke up, his voice grim. "They might still be alive. And if they are, they're in hiding for a reason." I stared at both of them, my breath coming in short gasps. None of this made sense. None of this could be real. "So, what? You were just going to let me live my whole life without ever knowing?" My voice cracked. Rachel looked away. "We were trying to protect you." I shook my head, heat rising in my chest. From what? AL leaned in, lowering his voice. From the people who are still looking for them. And if they find out who you really are, they'll come for you, too. The air in my lungs turned to ice. Rachel reached for my hand, her voice breaking. Emily, I know you're angry. I know this is a lot. But please, please, just trust me when I say we have to be careful. If they know you're asking questions. A new message lit up Rachel's phone. Unknown number, she knows. The blood drained from Rachel's face. She grabbed my hand, her voice barely a whisper. We need to leave. Now. And just like that, my whole world shattered. Rachel's grip on my wrist tightened as she yanked me toward the exit. My legs moved on instinct, but my mind was still stuck on the message that had just flashed across the screen. She knows. Someone was watching us. Someone had been following this conversation. As soon as we stepped outside, the cool night air hit me like a slap, but it did nothing to slow my racing heart. Rachel was moving fast, too fast, practically dragging me along the sidewalk. Rachel, stop. I finally yanked my arm free. You don't just get to drop a bomb like that and then run. Who sent that message? Who knows? She glanced over her shoulder, scanning the street like she expected someone to be lurking in the shadows. We don't have time for this, Emily. We have to go somewhere safe. Safe from who? I demanded, stepping in front of her. You keep saying I'm in danger, but you still haven't told me who I'm supposed to be afraid of. Rachel exhaled sharply, looking torn between frustration and fear. It's not that simple, she muttered. I don't even know who they are anymore. But they're powerful, and if they find out you're asking questions. A car screeched to a stop at the curb beside us. Rachel grabbed my arm, but before she could move, the passenger side window rolled down. Get in, AL ordered. Rachel hesitated for only a second before pushing me toward the car. Emily, no. Every instinct told me not to, but my gut was tangled in knots. Whoever had sent that text clearly knew where we were. If I ran, where would I even go? With my heart hammering, I slid into the back seat. Rachel followed, slamming the door shut behind us. AL peeled away from the curb, glancing at the rearview mirror as he took sharp turns through the darkened streets. Where are we going? I asked. Somewhere they can't track us, AL replied, his voice calm but tight. I turned to Rachel. You still haven't told me everything. Rachel's hands curled into fists in her lap. She wasn't looking at me, but I could see the war raging behind her eyes. Fine, she whispered. You want the truth? All of it? Then listen. I did. And what she told me changed everything. 28 years ago, our parents were involved in something they shouldn't have been, Rachel started, her voice hollow. Not crime. Not drugs. Something bigger. What do you mean? My voice was barely a whisper. Rachel glanced at AL, then back at me. They were working with someone. Someone powerful. And then, they disappeared. Disappeared? Like they vanished off the face of the earth, AL interrupted. No bodies. No leads. Just, gone. I swallowed hard. What does that have to do with me? Rachel turned to face me fully now. Her expression was raw, conflicted. Because, Emily, you weren't supposed to exist. The words hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Excuse me? I choked out. Before they vanished, Mom and Dad were hiding something, or rather, someone. You. We don't know why, but they went to extreme lengths to keep your existence a secret. They falsified records, changed identities, erased anything that could connect you to them. I felt dizzy. But, why? Rachel hesitated. AL spoke instead. Because whatever they were involved in, you were at the center of it. I shook my head. That doesn't make sense. I was a baby. How could I be at the center of anything? That's the part we don't know, Rachel admitted. But someone does. And they've been looking for answers for a long time. My blood turned to ice. So that message. Rachel nodded grimly. She knows. That wasn't just about tonight, Emily. It means they've been watching you. They know you're digging. And now, they might come for you. Silence filled the car. My pulse roared in my ears. Then what do we do? My voice was barely above a whisper. Al took a sharp left turn down an empty road. We find out who they are before they find you. Rachel's hand closed over mine. And we finish what Mom and Dad started. The car sped down the empty road, the hum of the tires filling the silence between us. My mind was spinning, every piece of my life rearranging itself into something I no longer recognized. I wasn't who I thought I was. My parents weren't my real parents. And now, someone dangerous, had been watching me, waiting for me to figure it out. Where are we going? I finally asked, my voice hoarse. Al glanced at me through the rearview mirror. Somewhere safe. A place they won't expect. Rachel's grip on my hand tightened. She was terrified, but she was trying to keep it together for me. I wasn't sure whether to be grateful or afraid of what that meant. And then what? I pressed. What's the plan? We just keep running forever? Rachel shook her head. No. We find out why they want you. And we make sure they never find you again. I stared at her. And how exactly are we supposed to do that? Al didn't answer right away. He made another sharp turn, the city lights fading behind us as we moved into the outskirts, where the roads were quieter and the shadows stretched longer. I have a contact, he finally said. Someone who worked with your parents before they disappeared. He might have the answers we need. Might? I repeated. A muscle twitched in his jaw. He's not exactly easy to find. But if anyone knows the truth about what happened all those years ago, it's him. Rachel exhaled, rubbing her temples. I don't like this, Al. You said we'd keep her out of this, not drag her deeper. That was before they sent that message, Al shot back. Before they knew she was looking. Now, it's too late to stay in the dark. Rachel didn't argue. That, more than anything, scared me the most. I looked between them. Who is this guy? And why do I get the feeling he's not exactly friendly? Al hesitated. His name is Victor Calloway. Former intelligence. He used to be close with your parents, until they went dark. He's been off the grid for years, but if anyone can tell us what's going on, it's him. The name meant nothing to me. But the way Rachel paled at the sound of it? That meant something. Rachel? I asked. Do you know him? She hesitated. I've heard of him. And? Rachel swallowed hard. And if he's our only option, we're already in deeper trouble than I thought. Al didn't respond. He just kept driving, the weight of our next move hanging thick in the air. The road stretched endlessly ahead of us, dark and uncertain. I had no idea what we were walking into. But something told me this was only the beginning. Al killed the engine. The motel looked like something time had forgotten, dust-covered windows, a flickering neon vacancy sign, and an almost empty parking lot, except for a black SUV tucked into the shadows. Rachel swallowed hard, turning to me. Emily, no matter what Victor says, don't let him manipulate you. I clenched my fists, trying to steady my hands. Why would he even help us if he once betrayed Mom and Dad? Rachel opened her mouth to respond but hesitated. I saw it, the conflict in her eyes. There was more to this than she was telling me. Al stepped out of the car. No time for doubts. Let's go. We walked across the lot in silence, each step pulling me deeper into something I wasn't sure I wanted to face. Did I even want the truth? Or would I rather hold on to the lie that had been my life? Al knocked 3 times on the door of room 14. No answer. He knocked again. Still nothing. Rachel shot me a wary glance. Something's not right. I swallowed hard. What if he... Click. The door was unlocked. Al exchanged a look with Rachel before slowly pushing it open. The hinges groaned. The room was dark. Rachel stepped inside first, and I followed, my pulse hammering. No one was there. No signs of Victor Calloway. But there was something else. A file sat neatly on the worn wooden table. Al moved forward and flipped open the first page. My breath caught in my throat. It was a photograph, old, slightly grainy, but I recognized the girl immediately. It was me. Or at least, some version of me. She had my hair, my eyes, my features, but she was standing between two people, a man and a woman, smiling as if she had never had a reason to doubt the world. Their eyes, they felt familiar. Rachel gripped my shoulder, her voice breaking. Emily, those are your real parents. But I couldn't tear my gaze away from the bold red letters stamped across the photograph. Target confirmed, eliminate upon location identification. The room tilted. Eliminate? I whispered. What the hell does that mean? Before Rachel could answer, footsteps echoed outside. Heavy. Deliberate. Getting closer. Al pulled a gun from his waistband, his voice dropping into a deadly calm. We've got company. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. I had seconds to decide. Run. Hide. Or stand my ground and face whoever was about to come through that door. The handle twisted. The door swung open. And in that instant, everything changed forever. This story isn't just about secrets and conspiracies, it's about identity, trust, and the terrifying moment when everything you thought you knew shatters before your eyes. It forces us to ask, if your entire past was a lie, would you chase the truth, no matter the cost? Now, I want to hear from you. Did this story keep you on the edge of your seat? If you liked it, comment 2 below. If it wasn't for you, comment 7, I want to know what you think. And if you love stories that pull you into the unknown, hit that like button and subscribe, because trust me, the next twist is coming sooner than you think.